What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 134 of the Eddy Live Show. We have got Josh from Planet Josh.
Yep.
He is a Belizean podcaster living in the Ming Chuan area, Shilin area. We've got him and his story live right after this. Breaking my neck here. All right, we're back, man.
Okay.
Thank you for coming, brother.
Thanks for
Appreciate it.
having me,
Yeah,
man.
my
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
My pleasure. All right on time, man. Thank you so much. From this side, yeah.
The
Okay,
I got
wings
you.
have
Thank
arrived.
you. Excellent, beautiful. So, how you doing, man?
I'm good, and you, man?
Good. Yeah. So you've been watching the show for a bit, yeah?
Yeah, I've been checking it out for like maybe about 2 months now.
Okay,
Just
beautiful.
randomly came across it.
Okay, that's cool.
So, yeah.
That's cool. I'm always curious how people find it because we don't. I mean, we just kind of do it, you know.
You know,
yeah.
I think it's crazy because I think the way I found out about it was through Rushi's Levare page
really?
or something. I think I
Okay.
saw they posted when they
Rushi
were here.
came?
Yeah,
Rushi
and then
was here, yeah.
I was like, oh, what's this podcast about?
Okay,
Let me
okay.
check it out because I've always been interested to find out and see if there are like, you know, other podcasters in English in Taiwan.
Yeah,
Because
for
of
sure.
course there's in Chinese, right? But
There are, yeah. Like once in a while, we'll do one in Chinese. It's tougher for me. Like
Yeah.
it's There's a lot more prep because English we just chat, right?
yeah,
Which
it's
is
more
great.
it's more natural.
Yeah, it's way more natural. Yeah, for sure. So from Belize, right? Been
Yeah.
in Taiwan for
This is it's about what, 3.5 years?
okay.
Yeah, about
okay,
that.
Okay. And so far, so good.
Yeah, so far so good.
Yeah.
Can't really complain. Besides,
Okay.
you know, the usual with everyone with COVID affecting the whole
Oh.
world and affecting
Yeah,
your entire
yeah.
experience. But
Yeah.
it's been a good one.
So you said 4 years, right? So
Completing
almost
for pretty soon. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, COVID's been most
Here
of
for-
it's been COVID. 2 or 3
Yeah,
years.
like
I
maybe
think.
the first year and a half was COVID free. Everything ever
COVID-free.
since
Okay.
has been COVID.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Oh, that sucks, man. Yeah, all good. Okay. Oh, that sucks. Yeah. So COVID is, of course, with the restaurant, affected us a lot.
Yeah, I could
A
imagine.
lot, like crazy. I mean, it was almost like opening a new business because at the one point they said no more dine-in. Dine-in's done.
Yeah.
So they said, okay, so just do deliveries and to go. And
So like prior to that, did you have like do like a lot of deliveries or?
so what we did was when COVID like originally came out in like the whole world was
Yeah.
kind of suffering from COVID. We thought, okay, Taiwan was really safe and there was like zero
Pretty good.
cases for a long time. But we thought we should have our own online ordering system. So there's a friend of mine that I hired to do our website. And I told him, look, this is what I want. Can you build like something from scratch that's going to be like an online ordering system, kind of like an Uber, where it's our own.
Yeah, just for you.
And yeah, just for us. And so he said, sure, he can. And I wanted to build it, and I did build it for it to be duplicated because I also want to offer that service to other restaurants.
Yeah.
So it took a long time to build. And then when it was 95% done, Taiwan still had
Everything was pretty good.
everything was normal, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, maybe we're never going to use it. So I said, okay, cool, it's finished. You know, we did a couple tests. Great. When it slows down in the restaurant, we'll turn it on.
Yeah.
And so it didn't really slow down. So we didn't forget about it, but we put it aside.
Yeah, it was just there.
Yeah, it was just there. And then as soon as the government announced like a year later that, okay, lockdown, then we said, okay, I called him, I messaged the guy and I said, how far are we from finishing this? And he said, we're about 95%. I need about a week. And I said, well, just bill me, just do everything you got to do right
Yeah.
now. And it happened to be the first day it was ready was the Monday where there was no more dine-in. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
It
yeah.
was like perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Of course, we hadn't gone through the bugs. We just went live, right?
Yeah.
And so we pissed a few people off at the beginning, you know, free meals here and there.
I mean,
but yeah, now it's good.
I mean, those apps like even Uber Eats and those that have
Uber
been
Eats.
going on for a while sometimes
Yeah.
have their own issues. And it's like,
yeah.
if they have their problems and they've been
Yeah.
existing for so long, you know,
Exactly.
it's growing pains if you're doing it for the first time.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I think Uber Eats and Food Panda, that they're great. They take a big piece of the most people that are not in like the service industry, they don't know.
Yeah.
But they take a huge cut, like 35%.
From the business.
From the business. Like, so like you're spending 100, 35 goes automatically to them. So that's why when you order from Uber Eats, most places will adjust the price a little bit. I mean, you can't raise it 35%.
Too much, because then people will be like, I'm not buying this.
But you put it up a little bit, and it's like, it's okay. Yeah, so Uber is doing pretty good. Our online one is doing pretty good. Of course, not as good as Uber, because Uber's got the marketing and, all the YouTube,
Almost everyone has Uber Eats on their phone,
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. We had done some Food Panda as well. I think we found a bit more success with Uber. But yeah.
And that's like, I feel like a lot of people don't notice it, because I grew up in a family that has a business, and
yes, that's one of my questions. Yes.
So by them having
Sub-trade.
to use a credit card machine at your business, it's the business that suffers.
Yeah, exactly.
It's convenient to the customers, but the business loses, because you might pay them this amount of money, but they don't get 100% that money you're paying for the product. So
that's exactly it. Yeah.
Like, you take the sacrifice for your customers in a sense. So
it is. So for us, for the first few years, we didn't take credit card. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? So we didn't take credit card. So first, people that use credit card, we pissed them off, and they're like, yeah, we're not coming back. So you're like, yeah. So we lost some people, but in the end, so I think it's like 1% to 2%, depending on, which is a lot. That's gone. That's gone, which sucks. But I also found that in this situation, like when you're a dine-in place and you've got beer and all that stuff, people seem to spend a little bit more if they got the credit card. Like, even me, like if I go out and there's no credit card, I kind of like look in my wallet. And sometimes I've got like nothing in there. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even have enough money to pay this. So it's like, I'm like, all these tens and stuff. Sorry. But if it's credit card, it's like, oh, you know what? Give me an extra whatever, right? So it's kind of like a double-edged sword for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to know about, let's, first of all, speaking of beer, let's have a little salud. Yes.
Cheers.
Salud. Cheers. Before I forget, let's grab the first wing, man. Yeah. Okay. So the first one, we're going to start from here to there.
Some wing cam action for you guys right
wing
there.
Action, yeah.
Basic, okay, no problem.
Just the basic buffalo, man. So go. You take one or the other. Yeah, let's go. Boom. Yes, yeah. So we're just going to start with basic, yeah. Simple. And one of the first questions definitely is the family business.
Yeah.
Like, what was the family business in Belize? You're saying you grew up in a family business environment.
Okay, so
tell me a little about that.
So way back in the day, my grandfather used to have like a general merchant store. Sells a little bit of everything, food, toiletries, all that good stuff. And so when he passed away, my dad, he took over as well.
Gotcha.
And so for the majority of my childhood, it was basically still the same. And so in my little town, it was like one of the few stores that were there at the time.
Yeah.
So, business was good. And then slowly my family transitioned over to having a pharmacy, because my brother's a pharmacist.
Beautiful.
So to this day, it's like, when I was last at home, it was like maybe the only pharmacy in my town.
Nice.
Maybe now I think there's probably another one, but it's been going good for maybe over 10 years as a pharmacy.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
But
and what's the name of your town, man?
Punta Gorda. So it's Spanish.
Okay. Yeah.
Fat Point, but I don't know why they have the name, but Punta Gorda. It's a little town in the southernmost part of Belize.
Okay. So Belize is kind of like a unique country, right? Where I think I have Belizean friends and all like Latino friends from all over, and I think that Belize is English first, right?
Yes,
I believe so, right? Because when I met, I've been here for 20 years, right? So the first Belizeans I met, so native is the native language is English, right?
Yeah, native is officially.
Is there Spanish or no?
There is a lot of Spanish speakers from the neighboring countries. Like, there are a lot of Guatemalans. There's a lot of people from El Salvador, Honduras, just from the neighboring countries. Hell, even my mom is she's born in Guatemala. She lived there up until she was like maybe 15, 16.
Okay.
So there's a lot of Spanish speakers, and even, if you're born and raised there, you genuinely learn a little bit, because I feel like people go to the neighboring countries a lot, whether it's going to Mexico or going to Guatemala. So
Beautiful.
And we learn it in school. So
okay. So it's like taught as a second language in school.
Yeah. So it's pretty.
But the original, the main language is English, right? Okay.
Main language is English, but overall it's mostly Creole that we speak. It's like our little
I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, most people you would hear them speak Creole on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
But like I'd say in school, at the workplace, those places you will probably hear English. But outside of that, it's majority just Creole.
Oh well, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I thought. Okay. Wow. Very cool. So do you? What brought you originally to Taiwan from Belize? I think there's a lot of exchange students. I've been here for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I've met a lot of sort of people coming from Belize and Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, right?
Okay, so to this day, Belize is still one of like the few diplomatic allies of Taiwan.
Okay.
And so they award a lot of students scholarships every year.
Like academic scholarship or sports scholarship?
I think it's mostly just academic scholarships.
Okay.
I've heard of instances of people getting sports, but not from Belize. Like I've seen from other countries, but not really from Belize. So and there's a two words. I think most students out here know it as the MOFA and ICDF, and I'm a ICDF scholarship student.
And what is that? I saw that. I didn't know what it meant though. The ICDF.
To be quite honest, I'm not 100% what the ICDF means.
That's cool. That's good.
It's just like some
shout out to the ICDF.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to them.
It's like a corporation or like I guess a government organization.
So they have the ties with Belize, and they want you guys
outside of the scholarships. I feel like they do like projects in different parts of the like these different countries that they are connected with.
Okay.
Because I've seen in Belize they've had like I think like sheep projects like raising the sheep and that sort of stuff. So they do little different projects in those countries.
Okay. Is there like the Belizeans are coming here? Is there Taiwanese that go there? Is that like a whole exchange thing or?
To the best of my knowledge, I don't think so.
Okay. I'm just curious.
There are Taiwanese in Belize, but I think most of them go on their own free will.
Gotcha. Okay.
As compared to an exchange, or some of them would be there for the time being as working with the same ICDF or some other Taiwanese organization. Gotcha. Because when I was back home once, I was at a bank, and so this was after my first year of being in Taiwan. So. After you come here, you're more aware if you see Taiwan or anything back where you came from. Yeah. And so I saw a guy come in and he had like the Taiwan ICDF logo on his shirt.
Okay, nice.
So I'm like, oh, hey, I'm actually on an ICDF scholarship, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, we're just talking in the bank line. He's like, I'm from Taiwan.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, cool. And then he's like, do you play basketball? And we're just talking about the difference between how they keep the score if you just go to a park here versus what we do in Belize. And
oh, really?
He's like, yeah. And then he like,
like pickup ball is got different rules.
It's a different rule here. So it's
like, okay.
Like, I guess for him, if you're in a different country and they play different, and now you see someone that's actually in your home country and they know how you guys play. It's like, that's cool. This guy knows how we do it.
That's very cool. Yeah. Oh, very cool, man.
Yeah.
So the reason you originally came here was the relationship is good, Taiwan and Belize, right? And you were able to get the scholarship. And so the plan was to come and study international business, right? Was that the original plan? Or
to be honest,
business and trade? What is it?
I was
business and trade,
I was working at the time.
Yeah, tell me about that,
And so I feel like most people, well, now it's not the same, but when I was in high school, so we graduated from high school in Belize at the age of 16.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You graduate, then you go to university. And most people would do the associate's degree, which is 2 years. Mm-hmm. So I did that. And after I finished, I started working at my brother's business for a little bit.
Gotcha.
But I would sometimes be on my phone, and he would be pissed about it.
Okay.
So I'm like,
that's a tough thing nowadays, man.
We're always butting heads. And I'm someone that's going to do my work. But at the same time, I'm just going to mess around a little bit, but I'll get my work done.
Young guy, man. That's how it goes,
so,
right? Yeah.
My aunt has a restaurant of her own in the same town. And so at that time, my cousin works there too because it's her mom. Yeah. And so she's like, she needs help with the paperwork. And so I decided, you know what, let me go there and work before me and my brother actually get into
kill each other.
Yeah, before we kill each other. He's way older than me, but no
one
cares
the youngest,
about that.
Right?
Yeah, I'm the baby of the family.
Out of 5, I think you said? 4?
Technically 4, but technically 5 because I have an older half brother.
Okay, gotcha.
From my dad, but my oldest brother is the one that would be button heads with. So the oldest and the youngest.
So your families, you come from a family of entrepreneurs, it seems like, right? Like your aunt has a business, your brother has a business, your family had the pharmacy, right? And those are all separate businesses, right?
Well, what my grandpa started and my dad took over was the same. And then my dad's business was converted into what is my brother's pharmacy this day.
Okay.
And then my aunt is actually my mom's sister.
Okay.
She has her restaurant and a little hotel as well.
Beautiful.
Not anything too fancy, but still, you know,
still
something.
amazing. Still amazing.
And so I was there working, and like what we were talking about before we started recording this, Rushi was mentioning about, you know, meeting people, making these networking and, you know, making connections.
Man, it's so important.
Life is really about who you know at the end of the day, not what you know.
I agree
exactly.
100%. I agree 100%.
So at that time I was working at my cousin's place. I'm like, when you work with family, you don't take it as serious. And at the same time, you feel like you're more conscious about the effort you're putting, and you're thinking like, you know, I'm not putting in enough effort and I'm having them pay me for being a bum some days, and it's like, it just doesn't feel right. Versus when you're working for the man, you know, you don't really care if you have these days where you're not that productive. But when it's family, it's like you feel like you're robbing them.
Again, it's like the double-edged sword, right? It's it's family, so you want to make sure family's good and you're taking care of everything. But then again, it's family, so you're like, he's not gonna fire me.
I know
exactly how it goes. Yeah.
At that time,
for sure, yeah.
I had one of my friends. So I used to live in another part of Belize, the capital, which is Belmopan.
Okay.
And so I had a friend from primary school all through high school, and his aunt was working at the local social security board.
Okay.
And so it's a very small office.
Okay.
And then you have the office assistant, aka the run guy, you know, does the little errands around the place and whatnot.
Of course, yeah.
Picks up the mail, delivers whatever has to be delivered.
We've all done stuff like that for sure.
And so that's usually the post they get when someone goes for a vacation, because if someone higher up goes for a vacation, they just let someone else take over that role, and then they bump it up all the way until only the run man space is open.
Okay.
And so it was only supposed to be a 1-month job. I'm like, okay.
Gotcha.
Let me just test it out and see what it's like to work for someone else, because I've only ever worked at family business,
right?
you know,
And
it's way different.
Very different, yeah.
And so I went there. I was working for the month, and lucky me, right after my month was finished, they created a new post to create something else, and they filled me into that over someone that was there for a permanent time, because the post wasn't that, and because the post wasn't guaranteed to be a permanent, so you don't want to give a.
It's tough.
You don't want to give. Sure, this permanent guy is going to have a lower post, but his job is guaranteed. What I'm taking over isn't a guaranteed spot. So it's like, you know, sure, maybe a little bit more than what they make, but at the same time, you're guaranteed to be making your money.
Gotcha.
I'm there for a bit. And then after I'm there for a couple of months, I decided, and whenever they want to hire, they show the, you know, they give the, they give the opportunity to those in-house first before they advertise it outside.
Of course, that's normal,
so
right? It's pretty normal.
I applied. I would have to move from my home. to the capital, which where I lived for maybe 8 years already.
Okay. So you knew it. Okay.
So I applied for that. I got that job. But I ended up getting it, and I was working there for maybe about a year and a half there.
Okay.
But the environment wasn't the best.
And how old were you around this age?
I was about 19.
Okay. So yeah, young guy. Okay.
And so,
there, pretty good job. It sounds like
pretty good enough, you know.
But you're thinking, what am I doing? Right.
One, I'm not a fan of the work environment, I guess.
Gotcha.
Because where I started off, the branch where I started off was it felt like a very close knit relationship with everyone. But when you got to the other one, it felt more distant. It felt like, you know, we're just here to work, or some people don't like others, and it's like, it's not the best environment to be in.
Work is tough, man. You know, we have the business. So right now we got a really, really good like synergy with most of the people, but there's always like, as soon as you get one person who's kind of like lazy or a bully or something, it's so hard. You got to almost like pluck them out, or else people start getting like,
it starts to rub others the wrong way.
Yeah. You know, people, and then if you don't pluck the person who's kind of starting it all, the good people are like, oh, I don't like this job anymore. I'm like, no, you're like, what?
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
It's like what they say. What?
It's tough. It's tough.
What's the quote? The rotten egg or whatever, or
or
like something like they spoil the rest. Or
that's exactly the rotten egg.
And so at that time, I was like, okay, I want to go back and finish my undergraduate because I would only need 2 more years.
Perfect. Yeah.
And so my sister had already studied up to that point. So my dad was like, okay, I'll pay for you. No worries. It's not
older
like,
sister, right? Because you're the youngest.
like 2 years older than me.
Perfect.
So my dad was like, okay, I'm willing to pay for you because I already did that for your sister.
Gotcha.
So we're just keeping it equal.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was thinking, do I stop working and say to hell with this and just go back 100% to school and just wrap it up faster, or continue to work, do it part-time?
It's like half.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on one hand, it's like, I don't like being here, but on the other hand, it's like, it's a guaranteed source of income. It's like, and when I get that degree, maybe I can move up right in here and get a higher post.
For sure. That's always the dilemma, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Like if you can, it's always nice to have like stable income, right?
Yeah.
Like to have that income that's there. It's great.
Getting a job is not easy. Let's be honest. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And
it's a tough thing to do.
When I started off as the office assistant, one guy that was there at the time, he told me, once you're in, make sure you stay in.
Okay.
Whether it's at, trying to get another post right there, because, it's not that easy to find another job. So once you're here, just try to see how you can work yourself up and get into something better.
That's okay. That's pretty good advice, right? Yeah. I think,
I was like, okay, fine. I'll probably just do school part-time or whatever.
Okay.
But then I had a friend that was studying in Taiwan at the time.
Ah, yeah.
In Kaohsiung. And she was like, you should apply to Taiwan. And I'm like, when I did my associate's degree, I don't feel like my grades were necessarily the world's. They were good enough. Like
you're speaking to the guy with the worst grades ever. So yeah, don't be shy.
I felt like they met the criteria for the scholarship, but I'm like, it's not like when they see it's like, wow, this guy is,
You're thinking you're not gonna make the
because I'm like I feel like I don't knock them out. I don't knock it out the park. It's like just another guy. Just average grades, good enough.
Coasting through kind of a person.
Because like I've always been a person to get good grades.
Okay. That's
but
good.
I've always been like chill about it.
Yeah, I understand 100%.
I don't like to, because I don't want to be one of those persons that busts my ass off to get a good grade, and when I get a low grade, it really messes you up. So I'm like, you know what? I'll be chill, and I'll get a good grade, not a great one.
Okay.
And I'm happy with that.
That's enough.
When I know if I actually apply myself, maybe I could get higher, but maybe it might be more stressful. So it's like, you know what? Whatever.
So I think school is like anything else, is like a skill, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some people are just like, they're great at it. Like I have cousins, a couple of my cousins in high school, just this one guy I'm thinking of, he was just straight A's without even trying. My sister, it was like straight A's, almost like a black sheep family where she's kind of like the white sheep, and like me, like a lot of my there's probably one cousin I can think of and my sister that were just like top of the class, like valedictorian and all that stuff. And then there's like me, like C-, you know what I mean? And it's like it's crazy. It's crazy.
I think my mom used to always want us to get good grades.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not one of those families like, where people get rewarded for getting a good grade. I'm
Yeah.
I see people getting lower grades than me getting gifts from their parents or passing. And I'm like, I'm like in primary school, I'm coming in first, and my parents are just like, sweet. Okay, whatever.
Cool,
that's just whatever. But my mom used to always say that, like, at the end of the day, I guess they started to adapt this later on, and I look at it as the same. At the end of the day, if we both graduate, we both have the same paper.
It's the same thing.
And we can both apply for a job. Maybe you might get it because of the grades, but at the end of the day, grades aren't everything.
No, let's grab this one, and I'll tell you a story about you want. You're a big boy, man. You take the big news.
I mean, I might give you the bigger ones when we get to.
Hey, whatever you want to do, brother.
When we get to the spicy ones, I might.
I'm flattered that you know what's going on, and I don't have to explain the whole thing, which is great.
Come on, you don't mind spicy, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I love spicy.
There we go.
The last one is rough. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So speaking of grades, so I was saying I didn't do very well in school, and I came here, and I taught English, I taught Spanish, I coached soccer, I did a bunch of different things, and whenever I talk about grades, I always have this funny story. I'll let you eat that wing. I was teaching this kindergarten class, right? And we needed a second teacher, right? And so, they hired this girl, actually a Latina girl from Central America, super smart girl, like super sweet. We come in and like really super educated, and they're telling me, train this girl, teach her how to teach. And we go out for a coffee, and I'm like, what did you study? And she studied some kind of early childhood education. So this girl was way, way more qualified than me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like some dude who came over here to teach kindergarten, right? And so, I'm there, and my school is like, train her this, train her this. So I'm teaching this girl how to teach and how to take care of kids. To be honest, I've been coaching soccer since I was a kid, so I'm really good with kids. But, education-wise, this girl had everything. So I'm training this girl, and she's taking notes, and she was just like, it was crazy. And I said, where did you go to school?
Yeah.
Right? And she tells me, Cornell, right?
Oh.
And I'm like, Cornell? Isn't that that's like a Harvard school,
Pretty
right?
good.
And she's just like, actually, I got into Harvard, but my specific program is better at Cornell than Harvard. And I'm just like, holy crap. And I'm like, I'm teaching you? I barely finished, anything, right? And she's like, so I'm training this girl who's like this Cornell graduate. It's crazy. So, yeah, it's really like, wherever you're at, I'm not saying that school doesn't have a place. For sure it does. For sure. But it's definitely kind of who you know and life skills and stuff like that, for sure.
Because, growing up, I've had a lot of, and I think almost anyone that goes to school can relate to this, is you might have a lot of, teachers that are very qualified, might have a doctorate degree in something.
Yeah.
But they just don't know how to teach. It's a skill that not everyone has. Like for you, you're better than the Cornell girl, You had to be showing
Crazy.
her.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show that, sure, school is important in some ways, depending on what you want to do, but it's not 100% everything.
Yeah. I remember, so my hometown, there was no other Mexicans. There was us, and then there was my cousins. So all my cousins were older than I am, right? And it's a really small town. So there's only one high school, right? And so all of my older cousins, getting in trouble with the law, selling this and that, some went to jail and stuff like that. So that by the time that I went to high school and I went through high school, we have the same last name. By the time I got there, I was basically written off by every teacher.
Because they already
have here's another
rep.
drug dealer. Oh, here's another, this guy's going to jail, right? So school it was tough. It was tough because teachers are so important. I can count 3 teachers that were amazing. Maybe three, maybe 4. Amazing in my whole life. Yeah. And I'm not saying anything against teachers, but in my situation, I was definitely written off by probably 95% of the teachers because of my last name, because we're the only Mexicans in town. And they're just like,
and your cousins already had this
wasn't a racist
reputation.
thing. It's just like my cousins are all, doing this and that. And so they're just like, oh shit, another Gonzalez, right?
Yeah. So we already know what to expect.
Yeah. So and my sister obviously has the same last name. So like I was saying, she was kind of like the white sheep in the black sheep family. So she was like the valedictorian and she's straight A's and, honor student, blah, blah, blah. And for me, because I was kind of like, C minus-ish kind of a guy, I was just like, oh, this guy's dealing drugs. So it was, it was crazy. It was a crazy experience for me. It wasn't a great experience, but
how can he jump to that conclusion?
It's crazy. You're just written off, right? So, yeah, man. But yeah, no, it was cool to come out here and kind of you reinvent yourself a little bit. And when I went to school, I wanted to be a police officer. Yeah. And that kind of blew everyone away because they're like, what the hell? You have family in jail and you want to go to police officer. And I'm like, I like people. I like helping people.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I went all the way past my police officer exam, passed everything. And then I got all the way to the final interview. And I failed that because I was too young. I was 21, I believe. And so I finished my soccer coaching job. And I came here and they're like, you got to get life experience. So I said, when can I reapply? What's the plan? They said, you can't reapply for 2 years. So go do something for 2 years.
Yeah, figure out something.
So
else.
go do something. I'm like, okay. So I came here, and I mean it's been 20 years this December, man.
Ooh,
it's crazy.
damn.
It's a long time, dude.
Almost my entire
Almost
life.
your age, dude.
You know?
Yeah. You know, it's funny because we're talking about universities and stuff like that. Like today, I went to a university to give a speech on, entrepreneurship and doing an internship program and stuff like that. So it's crazy from, oh my God, being written off to like.
Now you're going there.
Now it's like you go to
giving
talk
speeches
at
and
universities. It's kind of a weird.
It's one of those things where people go and be like, "Oh,
that's crazy."
If my teacher could see me now,
you kind of want them to. You kind of want them to.
Yeah.
One teacher actually came here, and he showed up at the door, and he's just like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was just like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Yeah, my wife's Taiwanese. I just came to visit the family." He's like, "Oh, that's great." So he's probably one of maybe 2 or 3 teachers that I just love. That I'm just like, yeah.
Oh, had a good
these
relationship.
Guys are awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's great. It's great to. So
okay, it's not one of them that's like,
it's not one of the guys that. Oh my gosh.
You were like, okay, you won't ever do anything.
One more quick story. I mean, there was a really older math teacher, right? And so I don't want to say his name. Mr. McCauley. So he was in. He's older. I mean, that was a long time ago. So I don't know. I don't know what he's doing now. He must, maybe rest in peace, whatever, right? But so I went into his class. Literally first day of school. I'm in this class. He's taking attendance, and he's just like, here, blah blah blah. This person, here. This person here. This person, and then his eyes kind of light up. Like he's an older guy. He's like, and he's like Hector Gonzalez, and I'm just like, I have a cousin called Hector, obviously, right?
Yeah.
I have a cousin called Hector, and I'm just like, I'm not Hector. That's my cousin, but that's probably me you're looking for.
Yeah.
He's like, get the fuck out of my classroom.
Oh,
and I'm just like, oh. Awesome. Yeah. So I'm sitting in the hallway. Principal walks by, and he's like, Ed,
what'd you do?
The first day, man. What's going on? I'm like, I don't know what I did, man. Apparently, Hector did something. And
did you ever go back to your cousins and be like, man, what were you guys doing in high school or something?
I didn't, man. I was, because, at that time, I was like, when you're younger, you're like, oh, everyone hates me because you're, your cousins, whatever. Everyone, wrote you off. So again, school wasn't my, it wasn't the best experience.
It's not for everyone.
High school wasn't great, but I still, it's still a thing, right? It's gotta be
like I said, it's not for everyone, but it is for some.
Yeah, I think it's good. Like it's a skill, right? It's a skill everyone's got to learn, right? How was that? Not too spicy yet, right?
Yeah, you can feel a little bit. That's chipotle.
That's chipotle, right? Okay. So now you've been here, and you last year started a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe you can tell a little bit about your podcast.
Okay, so my podcast is called Planet Josh.
Yeah.
It's not like this. It's not a live show. It's not video.
Yeah.
It's just like, not all the traditional way of like
audio,
this audio.
And you can find it where?
You can find it on pretty much almost every streaming platform.
Okay. Actually,
Spotify.
if you guys are watching, there's a link in the description. The link you gave me is in the description. Check out the podcast, Planet Josh. Okay.
Yeah. Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts.
Okay.
Pretty much, I think almost all streaming platforms it's on up by now.
Beautiful.
But crazy thing is, like, I still can't believe I actually have a podcast,
It's cool,
because
right?
when I started it, it was more like I always say it like this, like, when you're with your friends and you're drunk and it's like, hey, let's do this. Mm-hmm. Sure, we weren't drunk, but it's more like that type of vibe. It's like, you get caught up in the moment. It's like,
and
hey,
you actually did it.
Yeah. So, like, I'd say around April-ish last year. Yeah, before things got crazy. My girlfriend had a friend that has a podcast. And so he's a Taiwanese. Most of his episodes are in Chinese. But he would do this thing where he would bring on foreigners from different countries and talk to them about their country. So like,
beautiful.
Like I guess his Taiwanese audience could they could get an idea about these different countries and compare it to Taiwan.
I love it.
And so after I did that and I was listening to myself, I'm like, hey,
that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So I'm like,
hey,
well, maybe I could do a podcast. And the year before because, things were good here when COVID started.
Yeah. So,
back home, it was kind of bad. So my friends, they started a podcast and they're mostly like comedy. They're just going to be talking random shit. Mm-hmm. They'll look at probably like maybe local topics, whether it's politics or whatever, talk about it, but it's funny, right? So I'm like, I low-key always wanted to be on it, but they never asked me, I guess, based on the fact that I was here. And so they didn't want to do that whole online type thing.
Okay.
And so I was like, maybe this is the time I actually make a podcast.
Man. Yeah.
And so my roommate, he's into music. So he has this whole little setup with his audio box, his mic and everything.
So he's got all the stuff. Yeah,
he has all
music,
the stuff.
Right?
So I'm like, so I tell my roommates, I'm like, let's make a podcast.
Yeah.
But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, if 3 people do it, it's kind of too many people, and we live here, and I low-key want to see if we start it, let's see how far we can go. We all come from different countries, so if we leave Taiwan, it's like, what happens is it's going to be too many complications. So I'm like, I got to the point where it's like, okay, fine, I'll do this. One day I was just sitting, I went to a park, I was sitting down like, okay, what will I name my podcast? I was just thinking, what will I talk about? Because I love sports. I said, okay,
I love it.
Maybe I can talk about sports, but I'm also like...
I checked it out. It's good stuff, man. Yeah.
I'm also like, okay, maybe not. And at this point in my life, I've been thinking a lot about like mental health.
Sure. Yep.
And so in 2019, my dad passed away. And prior to that, I was going through other stuff. So it's like a lot of stuff just compounded. And then, as a man, you think, oh, I don't feel any way.
Oh, yeah. That's a deep topic. Yeah, so, for sure.
Even when he passed away at the funeral, when I don't know if you guys do the same in Mexico, like when you already have them in a coffin, you open it for viewing and that type of stuff.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
When I saw him in there, I wanted to cry.
Yeah.
When I saw my mom crying, everyone else crying, like it just got sucked up.
Okay.
And so everything was kind of like built, like pent up, everything held back.
Gotcha. Yeah. For sure.
To the point where I had to see the counselor the following semester when I came back to Taiwan.
Yeah, man.
And so
it's a tough one for sure.
I decided, and then I even prior to that winter break, that was the last normal winter break, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
Me and my roommates were planning, okay, let's go to Japan for the winter break. Nice. Take a little trip.
Japan's nice.
I was down for it, but after a while, I'm starting to think, you know what? Sure, I was just home a couple months ago, but I'm like, after everything, I feel like I need to be home.
Okay.
So I told my mom, first, it was just to go to her sister in Florida.
Okay.
So, but I told my aunt, I'm like, if I'm already at Florida, I'm so close to Belize.
Yeah.
Why don't I just go home?
Go home, man.
So I didn't end up going to Florida. I went from Taiwan to LA. And the crazy thing is at that time, my flight got canceled because I was going to Philippines and they had the volcano erupt. I'm like,
shoot.
Okay.
Shit.
Like, I can't catch a break. Like,
yeah.
I lost it in the airport. I'm like,
gotcha. Okay. And
eventually,
which airport are you in here?
I was at Taoyuan.
Okay. Well, at least you were like not in some random airport.
But then I separated my flights.
Okay.
Because it came out cheaper than booking them all together.
Of course, I've done that
too,
man. Yeah.
I was like, damn, now my flight in LA is kind of messed up because now how am I going to get there? Eventually figured it out. I got to LA, went home, surprised my mom.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
More and more I start thinking about my mental stuff.
Of course, yeah.
And then I'm like, you know what? I feel like coming from a country like Belize, we tend to look at mental stuff. I think in general, look at it as like you're being crazy, you're overreact. Like we dismiss it.
Like I think Latinos culture is like macho, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
What are you crying about? Or
yeah.
Oh, this person I saw. Like, oh, when I was your age, we had to go through this and that. And,
of course.
And you're here with this good life and I'm like...
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? It's a hard topic to just talk about. But at the same time, I'm like, let me take the risk and talk about it.
I think it's great. Yeah.
And so I got into it after the first 1 or 2 episodes. People are like, oh, you have a nice voice for it.
And
they're
good
like,
voice, man. Yeah.
And they're like, we like what you're talking about.
Okay.
But then I can't 100% focus on it. So it's mostly about mental health and like life stuff. And I try to relate it back every now and again. Beautiful. But because I love sports, it's hard for me to not
talk about sports. Right? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I bring in a couple athletes. I was lucky to get Doug Creighton, who's like he's very famous in Taiwan.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's half Taiwanese, half American.
I think a lot of the athletes are like, yeah, let's do it. They're happy to come and do stuff.
Yeah. And so it's been nice. I try to just bring in people, and I look at it as same as you with people sharing their stories. Because I feel like, when you listen to these famous podcasts, it's only celebrities.
Yeah. Of course.
But
exactly.
A lot of times there are people around us that have stories to share.
Amazing stories.
Maybe not TED Talk level like we were talking about earlier, but still amazing stories that people can relate to. They're like, okay, we might come from similar backgrounds and you're doing this. So it inspires someone to be like, hey, if they can do it, maybe if I apply myself, I can also do this. So like, it's mostly like mental, or also like, just trying to help people realize that, you can do whatever you set your mind to.
I agree.
So it's just been the way it's been going so far.
I love it, man. I love it. When I had the idea to do this a couple years ago, I was telling a couple of people, I'm like, I'm going to think about starting a podcast. And, when you say stuff like that, people don't, they're like, whatever, right? But I had this one guy, I always tell the same story. And this one guy, it's like this older, kind of well-off guy, right? And he's just like, let me ask you a question. Does the world really need another podcast?
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, shit, what an asshole. I'm like, you know what?
When you hear that, it makes you feel like, okay, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. I'm like, yeah, it's true. Like then you start to think, well, I'm just some restaurant guy. No one gives a shit, right? And then you start to think, no, I'm going to try it. And then you start to, you find, there's people that sometimes you just sit and you have a conversation with like CEOs and like, people that come in for their Taco Tuesday, celebrities or whatever. And like, this is great conversation. I wish I recorded it, Yeah. And so I think, let's just try it. And I thought we'll try for 1 year. And after just a few months, I just thought, man, I love doing this. This is great.
Yeah, for sure.
If it never blows up and makes big money, I don't actually care. Sometimes people are like, oh, you should niche down, you should do this. I'm like,
for me, I look at it the same. It would be nice if you're able to make some money, but
for sure.
If you enjoy it, why not just do it?
Man, I love coming in and it's kind of like when I have a beer like this, with somebody new. It's great. It's kind of like my night out, man. I love it. You have a couple beers and have some food and you have some good conversations. It's just awesome, man. I love it. So thanks for coming out. Keep going on the podcast, man. It's beautiful.
For sure. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with podcasts is a lot of people think that it's a way for people to make money, but sometimes it's all about having a conversation. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Because like how Josh mentioned, like the whole mental health issues, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you don't want to make money off your issues.
Yeah, exactly.
You just want to talk and you just want the other person to talk.
Yeah.
So both of you are crashing heads, exchanging ideas, feelings, and that's what makes a podcast.
I mean, think about it like this, right? A lot of people used to do blogs in the past.
Most
of these people did blogs just because they want to express themselves, get a story out there. Yeah. And it's pretty much the same, just in audio form.
I think I like it more because I think, how can I say it? People get, with technology improving, I think people, including myself, get lazier. Yeah. And it's like, do I want to read that thick ass book or do I want to throw it on an audiobook when I go to the gym and listen to it as audiobook form? I'll pay more for the audiobook.
For the convenience.
Because if I get that book, whether it's an ebook or like the physical copy, then I probably won't finish it. But if I got the audiobook, I can, go to the gym, throw it on, and go through that book multiple times. I love that.
I mean,
love that.
Like, with a book, you have to stop everything you're doing and to read it.
Physically hold it. Yeah.
Now with the audiobook, you can be driving, you can be doing whatever, and you're still getting the content in. Yeah.
Like for me, when I'm like, sometimes I'm helping in the kitchen, and sometimes when it's just crazy in the kitchen, they will say, I need your help to make the dough, the masa for either the flour or the corn tortillas, and the flour, it's a massive amount. So we have this massive mixer.
Yeah.
And it's probably like a 2-hour process to get it from like flour to, like separated balls to press. I love doing that because I just bring in like a Bluetooth speaker. I throw on some Rogan and I'm just like, boom, let's go. I love it. It's great. So what's up, man? You good?
Yeah.
Good? Yeah. It's all good. Yeah. Yeah. So I love it, man. I think it's great. Yeah. Let's grab this one and we'll keep digging into your
this
podcast.
One is what?
So this is we're halfway through. This is the Korean one.
Korean, okay.
So the Korean is
that's a little bit more of a kick.
It's a bigger. It's a jump, a little bit of a jump.
Okay.
Yeah. So whatever you want to do, dude.
I mean, I'm gonna take the big one until I start feeling like, okay, I need to run away.
So this is usually where people start to feel like, okay, it's getting spicy.
Let me tell you like
I don't
this.
know your spice level, bro.
I'll give you a heads up. I could handle a lot of spicy.
Okay.
But regardless if I eat, my nose might get a little bit runny. But it doesn't mean that I'm taking a L. That's just to clear that up to the people there. But I remember the first time I got introduced to the Korean instant noodles, the red pack. Mm-hmm. So growing up, mostly what we have in Belize is Maruchan, the little Maruchan packs.
Same kind of.
Yeah. So, they don't really have a spicy one that's spicy.
It's like chicken, shrimp, pork, whatever.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And so
we have Mr. Noodles, but it's the same thing,
So when one day I was in the dorm and I was like, man, I'm hungry. I don't really have anything here to eat with me.
I remember those days, man.
So I messaged one of my friends and so she's like, okay, I'll bring it to you. So I make it and I put some Belizean hot sauce in it because I used to have with me at the time. And so she's like, hey, that's spicy. You don't need to. I'm like, I don't care. I'll fight it out. But it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
And also it's like, there's this really red Doritos chips that's just hot.
Okay.
Any of my friends get it, they're like, you're crazy. I'm like, I just like spice.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it goes in hot and comes out hotter, but you'll
see tomorrow.
It's worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, brother, it's good.
Are we on a wing 3 or
We're on wing
2?
3 Korean.
We're
on the Koreans, baby. Yeah.
That's actually my favorite sauce. I tell this to everyone.
Yeah. It's funny because people are asking like, "Hey, you're a Mexican restaurant. Why do you have this?" But we have it because it's my place and I want it. I like it, right? Like
for sure.
And the funny thing is, one of the cool things is people come here and okay. This is a Mexican restaurant, but we have local craft beers on tap, right? Like, I think the beer's pretty good. We're drinking 23's new double IPA right now. It's fantastic,
pretty good.
Right? We have like sliders and buffalo wings and stuff like that, mostly because I like that, and this is the stuff that I miss. Like, we'll show basketball, we'll show UFC. I love UFC. We do that. People ask why, and it's mostly because that's what I miss. And I know there's a lot of people that miss that stuff.
Yeah.
We'll do like Super Bowl and stuff like that. And it's great, man. And the funny thing is I had a customer that came in. He's like, hey, we went downtown. We tried this new taco place everyone's raving about. Food's pretty good. But we went in there and, I wanted my craft beers and I wanted UFC and I wanted buffalo wings and I wanted tacos and I wanted sliders, and I'm like, well, he's like, no, so I had to come to a real Mexican restaurant for that. And I said, well, that's not really a real Mexican. It's just what I like. Yeah. I want that, right? So I want buffalo wings, and I love these Korean wings, right? I love Korean wings. So it's like we're just trying to cover as much as we can.
No, but
just,
dude, let me tell you honestly,
man,
Let me tell you honestly, like, I usually don't drink in the mornings or early afternoons, right?
Yeah.
But the atmosphere that you have when there's a UFC fight in here, like I'm having my enchiladas or my burrito, couple of beers, couple of guys on this corner, and we're just watching the fight. The atmosphere that you get is unbeatable in Taiwan, to be honest.
I agree. Thanks, man.
And that's what makes it like a prominent place for a UFC fan myself to be here with people, shout the names.
There's always like Taiwan John here who's like, he's super loud, and
that's
as soon as Buffer is like announcing the main event, he always without fail is just like, can you turn it up a little bit? And we're cranking it, and usually depending on the fight, it'll be like half full or 3/4 full with UFC people, and then you just get like the lunch crowd that comes in, and some of them are kind of like overwhelmed, but most people, they're like, wow, this is great, because it's just what we try to do here is we just try to give that like Latino sort of Western combination vibe to anyone who wants to come. We have lots of Taiwanese that come in, and they always tell us, the food and everything, it feels like, I'm overseas.
While you've been talking, I thought about it. It's just like what people tell you with a podcast where you have to find a niche.
Yeah.
It's the same way you treat your restaurant where it's like, you do what you want to do.
I agree.
And like a lot of times people like to tell you, you don't do what you want to do. You have to cater. But at the same time, you don't know because you're someone that wants all of this, there are also others that want the same. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
that and low key, not finding a niche is low key a niche.
I'll tell you what.
I agree. Thanks, brother.
I've talked to too many podcasters in the past 20, 25 years, right?
Yeah.
Not 25, 6 years. I'm 25.
25.
That's a
the
lie.
guy's
I'm
like
25.
19 over here.
I've talked to people who are 1 year. No.
Yeah.
So when I talk to podcasters, and my question is like, okay, why do you podcast? Yeah. You could have chosen to write a blog. Mm-hmm. You could have chosen to make a YouTube video.
Yeah.
You could have chosen to make a bloody Instagram post. But what makes you want to make a podcast? Is it money? And the first thing that 80% of them say to me is like, I don't want to make money.
Yeah.
If that makes money someday,
cool.
It's
Good.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's the dream come true.
I'll
But
throw it into
let's say if
Bitcoin.
it never makes, exactly.
Yeah.
But if it never makes money, it's not my primary purpose.
Yeah.
I just want to talk to people because if you think about it, these days, we have lost that human touch.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Eddy and Joshua, if you guys are the examples right now, when would you both of you sit down and talk about yourself? Do you think ever that's going to happen with you having a podcast in university to deal with, and Eddy, you, a restaurant, couple of other business stuff going on? Like, you never find the time these days.
So what I love about this is just
it allows you to meet new people.
I love it.
Whereas, if you weren't doing this, like you were saying, you would probably just be talking to the same people you already know all the time when you have the chance to.
I think what's smart is that guys like you two, you're ahead of the game. I mean, you're doing podcasts. You're kind of stepping out of the comfort zone, trying to do something different. It's something that I do as well, but I didn't do it from such a young age like you guys. So I think something like that is priceless.
I feel like what Rushi was saying with asking the podcasters if they do it for money or what's not.
Yeah.
I feel like if you don't do something for money, why should you force yourself to find a niche? Because then it only limits what you can talk about.
Yeah.
If you're doing it just because you want to do it, just talk about whatever. And I'm saying this, and it's hard to grasp sometimes, because you see, okay, this episode, a lot of people tuned in. Maybe this one, not so much.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you actually enjoy the whole recording process while you're doing it, who cares who listens? Like, you appreciate those that listen, and who doesn't, it's fine as well.
Yeah, and if you think about it, Christopher Nolan just does not make Batman movies. He makes the movies that he likes.
Yeah.
I agree.
You know what I mean? That's a crazy example to give. But
no, it's true.
If you think about it, the true creative, someone who wants to share a story, shares what he likes, not what you like.
We tend to look at actors and be like, because when they're already used to seeing them with a certain role, whether it's like Batman or maybe they're the bad person in a show or they're this idiot or whatever. When we see them take up a different role, you're like,
you see them and you're like,
why are you doing this? Yeah, why are you doing this? But at the end of the day, like you said, it's just they do what they enjoy doing,
Yeah, I think the best example of all that, tying all that together, is the new Batman, right? I mean, when it came out saying, I don't know his name, Robert Pattinson, right? They're like, oh my God, this guy's the new Batman. And everyone's like, oh, it's going to be awful. It's going to be awful. He's the Twilight guy, right? And I thought it was great.
That was a pretty good movie to me. I saw it right over there at the
me too. It was a little bit long, but a little bit long because I'm like, oh, I don't want to miss it, and I got to go take a pee.
Yeah, the same thing happened to me. Like maybe halfway or a little bit past halfway, I'm like, oh man, I got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. But one of the crazy things is I don't really watch much TV, so I didn't know that the Catwoman girl was the daughter of like Lenny Kravitz and I can't remember the other girl's name. Right?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. The guy that I was watching the movie with, he's like all up and he knows all the info. So he told me that. I didn't know that the Penguin was Colin Farrell. I didn't know that. I'm watching that.
I just watched it.
I watched it. It was great. Because, and he's like, at the end, he's like, the Penguin was Colin Farrell, right? And I was like, what? I didn't know that.
Sorry to cut you guys.
Yeah.
We have 2 comments.
Okay.
And comment is from Jeremy. I think he's your friend.
What's up, Jeremy?
And there's 2 comments. One is like, bring up Planet Josh. And second is, I'm gonna fuck this up. I think that's pretty Belizean accent.
Okay.
Chew the bone boy.
What?
Chew
To
the
the bone.
Okay.
Because a lot of people, when they're eating the wings, they go down to the bone and
all
they
way to
chew the bone. I'm like,
yeah.
maybe.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah,
First of all, I don't even do that at home.
Okay.
And especially if I'm on a, you
it's
try
all
to
good.
act,
It's all good. It's all
but
good. Yeah.
I'm not someone to chew the bone regardless. So.
Oh, dude, it's funny. When I was in college, we used to go to this bar. That's actually why on Wednesday here we do half price wings, right? And the reason is because when I used to go on, I think it was Thursdays, it was like 10-cent wings, right?
Oh.
And we were like broke college kids, and we go down to this bar, and of course they make money on booze, right?
Yeah.
But we just ordered like a Coke, and then like 100 wings each. And one of my buddies, Portuguese guy, I still try to do it to this day, but he would like take the wing and he would just be like, and he'd like just kind of like pull them out, toss it, and the bone that would come out would be like one piece, like fully connected, and all the meat was gone. Cartilage was gone, everything was gone. He would just be like, whoop, and we're talking, and he's just like, he could do the whole 100.
Oh,
100 was $10. $10 for 100. It's just like, and he would just be like, and I get to like 40, and I'm like, oh. But he would just kind of go, bam,
That's
We'd be like
what
talking.
I call taking bone shots.
It's crazy. It was crazy, man. I thought, wow. So whenever I get that wing in my hand, I always think of my buddy Jeff, and I try to do it. And
I try my best, but
I'm so bad, dude.
Yeah, so growing up, my sister used to eat meat, but now she's a vegan.
Okay.
And so even when I eat meat, sometimes you might just see a little bit of something on the edge of the cartilage or something,
sure,
but
sure,
I'm not going to go too crazy.
So, yeah.
Sometimes you just don't want to eat that much, or
Gotcha.
it's just not you to get down that far. Because when you go too far, you end up getting some cartilage, and it's it's not my thing.
It's not enjoyable.
And she would look at me and she's like, "Hey, there's still some meat on that bone." She's a vegan, but she's
I
like,
love it, yeah.
"I'm
Eat
a
that
vegan,
bone.
and you're still there not finishing on the meat." I'm like, "I'm sorry, but it's just not me."
I love that. So I actually I have another question about like the mental health topic, right? So do you think it was like it's a unique topic? Do you think mental health is it like, especially for men, is it like a new thing, or is it something that was just kind of covered up with like the older sort of the immigrant generations of like, I'll be a man, macho man? Do you think it's a new phenomenon, or is it something that was just never talked about or covered up?
I think it was just covered up and never talked about. Because I feel like even my generation, we still try to cover it up at times.
Okay.
Because you still want to be macho,
You gotta be a man, right? Man up, dude.
And we tend to do stuff that we might, whether it's going out to drink a lot to cover up all that,
Gotcha.
to forget about it, or it's just something that we just always try to push to the side.
Okay.
And I feel like in the long run, that's when you really see it affect people, because when you push it too much to the side, when it gets bottled up, you might snap on. Whenever we've seen people snap at others, is never because of what that person did. Most of the time, it's a lot of things put together. Like, let's say you or Rushi stepped on my foot and I just start going off and cursing you out. I'm like, more than likely, it has nothing to do with that. It's just that because I'm holding everything back and not actually accepting that I'm going through something.
It's like that straw.
Just one little, like the balloon, just one little needle to pop in and you just go bang. So I think it's always been there.
Okay. Yeah.
But we've just looked at it differently.
It's not talked too much, though. It's not talked too much. I'm pretty sure.
I think men especially don't talk about it very much. Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you know Jordan Peterson, right?
I'm not too sure.
Okay, if not, then you have to know about him, because he's a big name when it comes to mental health. And he was on this panel, right? And he's talking to this lady, and he's like, okay, let's talk about feminism, masculinism, and mental health. So he went to say that, there's a lot of females who are like, oh, this the 50-50 divide is not real in workplace, and women get paid less than the men and all that stuff. He's like, hold on. 80% of people in prison are men. 80% of atrocities that are happening are on men. More than 90% of labor-intensive jobs are the ones that men do. So why are we not talking about that?
Yeah, why not that balance there? Yeah.
So if you want to balance if you just want to tip the balance, why this is scaled so tipped on those aspects, right?
Yeah.
So it's like men face not as it's hard for me to say that, but it's like I don't know if men face equal amount of issues, but it's like similar issues that
There's
men
definitely
and
issues, yeah.
females have. Like, yes, you have menstruation months where
Yeah,
we
that's
clearly don't.
definitely- yeah.
And men highly respect about that. But
Yeah.
like men come with a back luggage where if I'm your husband, I have to provide for you. Like no one talks
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah,
but what
yeah,
if
for sure.
what if I don't want to?
Yeah.
What if I'm not capable of?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So like this whole mental health thing is just like, it's coming up new for men's, and Joshua, correct me if I'm wrong. It's just like I feel it could be better because especially in this generation, like Eddie, you, me, Joshua, we have access to all these medias, right?
Yeah.
So
Where we
much.
can talk about it. So with your podcast, I actually have a question for you.
Yes, shoot
With
it,
the-
man. Go for it.
With the podcast, where do you aim it to be? So let me rephrase that.
Okay.
So when we say mental health, do you want to be a space where it's a better mental health situation for men? Or do you want it to be a mental safe situation for anyone?
I'd say more for anyone.
Okay.
But I guess you could say it like in the sense of it's just most of the time that I choose to talk about mental health stuff are when I record by myself.
Gotcha.
Because I don't want to have to put anyone on the spot and
Gotcha,
not
yeah.
get the answers you want. And so I just try to talk about myself, how whatever it is that affects me or whatever I do to deal with stuff. But I've had a guest recently who's a basketball player in Taiwan, but he also has a podcast where he talks about mental health. He
Beautiful.
brings on guests and all that sort of stuff. But I've
Awesome.
yet to get to that point because I still feel like a lot of people that I know or people around my age aren't that confident in wanting to talk about it.
Gotcha.
Because
How old are you, man? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm 25.
Okay. So you guys are young, man.
And
Shoot.
so, like, a lot of people, they don't want to be ridiculed. They don't want to be looked at as soft. And so it's like, it's
Yeah.
hard to get others that I know to get on it and talk.
Okay.
A lot of them might listen to me and be like, yeah, that's true what you're saying. But at the end of the day,
They don't want to
they're-
come out and step out
yeah,
and
they're
do
just
it.
telling me that one-on-one. But in general, I want it to be a place where it's like for anyone. Because at the end of the day, everyone goes through it. But like Rushi was saying, men, we get looked at as in a different way.
Yeah.
But it's open to anyone and everyone.
By the way, we have
Another comment?
a third comment
Let's
by
go.
Caribbean Steve.
Caribbean
Shout out
Steve, what's
to-
up, my man?
Shout out to my man Josh.
Okay.
No, wait. Shout out to my man. Shout out to Planet Josh.
Oh yeah.
Planet Josh.
What's the name of the first one you said earlier? Jeremy what?
Jeremy. Jeremy BZE.
Okay, so the crazy thing is Jeremy BZE and Caribbean Steve. They are my two friends that I mentioned that did
Had the podcast.
podcasting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Okay.
So I had them a couple weeks back on my podcast.
Nice.
So yeah, those are my guys. Those are the ones that when I started seeing them do podcasts, they're a part of the reason why I'm like, okay,
Beautiful.
I can do this.
Why
Yeah,
not?
because my guys are doing it, so why not? And
Yeah,
then
do
like
it. You got to try.
whenever I would reach out to them, they would be like, yeah, man, just record. Just like, and one thing, like, this is one advice the Caribbean Steve gave me, and it's for anyone that wants to do podcasting. It's like, whatever you record, just do it.
Okay.
Like, a lot of times it's happened to me whenever you finish recording. It's
Yeah.
like, man, I should have said this or I forgot to say that. Like, just whatever. You just do it and post. Don't go back and be like, oh, I have to redo this. And
That's one of the reasons I like to do it live. I had this question from Lucas in Taiwan, when I went on his podcast. He's like, why do you do it live?
yeah.
And I'm like, I thought everybody did it
Yeah.
live, and it's crazy because, I thought everybody did. So I'm like, all right, I guess I better figure out how to do it live. And now I've been doing it live for so long.
I mean, you have a pretty good setup right here.
Yeah, I mean, piece by piece. I mean, I started with some busted up karaoke mics and like a GoPro Hero 5 at the very beginning, and I just thought that I just wanted to. I don't know. I just the cool thing was, shout out to my man Bam Morris. I had him on. He's a fighter. He used to fight at 1FC.
Okay.
MMA fighter, and he came by and we did a podcast, and then he got hit up by sponsors, and he got hit up by there is this big sort of MMA company that does like biographies on fighters. He got hit up by them. They flew to Thailand, and they did it like a biography thing on him. It's great. and it's because of the podcast, right? Like I think that for me is better than like, let's make some money on the podcast. I don't really care about the money on the podcast. I mean, I'm not saying I don't want, if there's money, that's cool. But
of course, I don't
really care, right? But it's really cool when you start to connect people. Like you have two kind of guests, and one is looking for one thing and one's kind of looking for the other thing. And then I'm like, wait a minute. So you connect these guys and they put together a project that's successful for both of them. That's the best.
I feel like with podcasting, it's like you go in there with the right mindset. Because I feel like, and I used to always Google stuff because I'm like, okay, how can I get my podcast out there and what's not?
Me too, when I started,
and they're like, reach out to other podcasters and that sort of stuff. And one thing they always say, and I feel like people in general, whenever you're on a podcast, don't feel like you have to, always advertise what it is that you're doing. Because then it feels too forced at the same time.
Sure.
Like just be genuine, and then people will either like you for your personality or they won't.
On that genuinity comment, I would like to say, so I heard this from Gary Vee, and he says, document, don't create.
Yeah.
So document whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through, or whatever you're doing. Okay. Because when you sit down to create, you want to create the best stuff.
Okay.
I want to create the best tacos in Taiwan. Yeah. That's a good recipe for a restaurant, Eddie.
Yeah.
But then I just want to make tacos. I just want to see how it goes. I like more. I like more salsa. Yeah. I'm gonna put more salsa, but a customer wouldn't like it. But I like it.
Customers gonna be, why'd you do that?
Exactly.
That's not authentic.
Exactly. But then you want to document over create. So when you do that, that's why podcasts, including Joe Rogan, is like he documents. He doesn't create. Yeah. He talks about, like, if you look at the episode with Snoop Dogg.
Oh, it's a great one.
They're talking about the random stuff. They're not talking about music or UFC.
Yeah.
They're talking about their friends, Wiz Khalifa, how good he trains, and then they're talking about Snoop's his weed company, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, people they don't want to hear about what they already know. They want to know more about you. They want to get to know. Okay, we have Eddie. We don't want Eddie to just be talking about the restaurant.
The podcast is what I did in the restaurant.
We want to know more about Eddie. What does
specials.
Eddie do when he's not at this restaurant?
Yeah. What's funny, that thing got me to talk to Eddie, because everyone, where me and Eddie, we met for the first time, everyone in the room was like, hey, Eddie, we love your restaurant. Amazing food, amazing Mexican food, XYZ, good decor. And I was like, I'm going to talk to him about podcasts. In my mind, I was thinking like, I'm the only one that I can think about podcasts because everyone's talking about restaurant. I'm like, you know what? Chuck it. Let me just talk because I love the guy. I love his content. Let me just talk to him as a content creator perspective. Yeah. I just literally shouted like, hey man, love your podcast. And he's like, wait, what?
Yeah, because you see, that's the one that stands out.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is just talking about the same thing. And you're like, hey, I know you do this. And you're like, what? Really? You know I do that?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's pretty cool.
It's really a cool thing. I mean, I think that, like when he said, like I hear, restaurant tacos and fish tacos, and I'm like, oh, cool, thanks. If you guys need, any advice or suppliers or whatever, and then you just hear this like, podcast, and you're like, whoa, who said that? I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because that's already a part of your regular routine.
And I love the restaurant.
You love it, but at the same time, you don't want to always be consumed by.
You're just a restaurant guy.
Yeah, I want to be known as more than just that.
Yeah, that's like one of the reasons. Swiss knife is more than a pair of scissors.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the reasons I started the podcast was because there's a lot of cool stuff happening, and I'm not just you're just a taco guy. No one cares what you think. You're like, it's crazy. You hear some crazy stuff, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's what it is, man.
You're not one. You're like, want to show people you're not one dimensional. You know.
I agree. Yeah. And it's fun. Let's grab the next one, brother.
Okay.
So
this is
pulling up the wing cam, ladies and gentlemen.
This is the wing cam. So this sauce is from a really small local company called Empress Hot Sauces, and this is like a ghost pepper sauce, but it's super well balanced, so it's not that spicy.
Okay.
But it's great. So shout out to Empress Hot Sauces.
And as we say, Empress brings the heat.
Empress brings the heat, baby.
Let's see how much heat. Okay, I'm gonna go small on this one.
Going smaller. Okay. Shrinking down, man.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Salud. I got some Korean on there too. All right.
But no, honestly, I feel like being genuine comes back to you in much better ways that you would think. Mm-hmm. And that's why, like, Joshua, when I met you right now, when we were off camera, I told him like, hey man, you have a podcast and how come I don't know about it? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, amazing podcast, and I don't have a clue what the hell you talk about. You know what I mean?
And that's happened to me in the past with someone wanting to come on the podcast. So before I reached out to Eddie, I only saw like 1 or 2. So I was like, I want to actually watch more episodes. I don't want to be that person that's just there just because, oh, Eddie has a podcast. I want to go on it.
I have a few that have, for sure, yeah.
Only if it's someone that I've asked personally to come on the podcast. And it's a different situation,
Yeah, exactly.
Someone once reached out to me, and because I had a couple guys that low-key had little business, like only probably one guy had a business venture on the side, but he's primarily a basketball player.
Nice.
And a friend of mine that writes, so of course he has a book. But so one person messaged me and they're like, okay, is your podcast still going on? Because they know of the fact that I have a podcast, but they don't know about it. And they were like, I have a new business. Can we talk about it? I know your podcast focuses on a lot of like entrepreneurial stuff, and I can talk about that for days. And I'm like, are we talking about the same podcast? Because I'm like, I know that's not really what I'm focused on. I'm like, sure, it might seem like that for 1 or 2 episodes, but the vast majority is not that.
The theme.
Yeah, so I'm like, it already rubbed me the wrong way. Like,
Gotcha.
I wouldn't mind having them on, but when you hit me with that, their podcast is about this and it's totally wrong, and I'm like,
That's tough. Yeah. I think one of the tips out there for people looking at podcasts or new podcasters is a lot of people, you're so scared or shy or something to ask them to invite them onto your podcast. But most people, I would say 9 out of 10, they feel, even 98 out of 100, they feel like honored that you actually want them on the podcast. Doesn't matter, excuse me, if they're famous, if they're famous, whatever, they're just like, really? Cool. Like they're honored. They're like, what? You want me to come on your podcast?
Like,
and eat some wings and chat and have a beer? They're like honored about that.
Like,
I'm like, really? It's
people
cool,
think it's more complicated than it really is.
Yeah.
Like,
Excuse me.
like I remember I had this guy, Doug Creighton. He's a very famous Taiwanese guy.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
So I asked him, because at that point I was just trying to get a guest on a podcast, just because I'm like maybe 7 or 8 episodes.
Sure. It's tougher at the beginning. Yeah.
And so I reached out to him. I've never met this guy in my life. I've been to 1 or 2 games before. I've seen him play, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, bro, I have a podcast. I talk about this, that. I send him the link, and I'm like, would you like to come on?
Yeah.
He's like, sure. Right away. He answered, sure, whenever. At that time, he was in the States.
Okay.
He was like, we can do it when I get back to Taiwan. I'm like, I'm going to do it on Zoom anyway, so we can do it while you're there.
Okay.
And so after that episode went up, guys that I know that love basketball, Taiwanese guys, they're asking me, like, they think I had
to. Yeah.
Like, how did you get him? They're wondering, like, if I had to give him something to come on the podcast. I'm like, no, I just asked him. I just messaged him. Or some people are like, do you know him? I'm like, no, I just messaged him on Instagram. He said, yeah, and we did it.
That's cool. I think there's most people are happy and they're kind of honored to do it. You will get, a couple that want something like we hit like a couple of big Taiwanese YouTubers that have like pretty big channels, and they wanted like 80,000 NT or something, and I'm like, I'm not paying that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm like, you think you're Will Smith? Like, come on,
nope,
man.
Thank you.
You're not Will. What are you talking? Maybe bad name
I mean,
to choose
I feel
right
like
now. Maybe The Rock.
Even those big celebrities
Who is
don't
that?
even ask for money like that. It's like,
no, you're not The Rock. You think you're Vin Diesel? Like,
so
come
the
on.
podcast I watched, the podcast that really got me into listening to podcasts was All the Smoke.
Okay.
It's a basketball related from 2 former NBA players. Yeah,
Gotcha.
You guys probably. I'm
know
a
it?
basketball guy, so
No, that's great. Yeah.
and so I'm a Kobe fan, and they had Kobe, so that's how I got into it, and I started listening.
Yeah.
So I always hear them tell the guys, like, just let us know, and I think most of the time it's just, because they know these guys, they just want to share their story at the end of the day.
Yep.
The only thing you got to do is get me out there.
Yeah.
Like for them, being other parts of the States, they have a whole production company. Some of them work with Showtime, HBO, these companies are more likely going to pay for it anyways.
Yeah.
I feel like most of these guys, you just have to fly them out to your studio and they're down. As long as your schedule is free, they're down.
Yeah.
To me, if you have to pay someone to be on your podcast, it comes back to being genuine at the end of the day. It's not genuine because you don't really want to be here. You're only here because I'm paying you to be here.
It's not what I want. Yeah.
And like, it's whether or not you know me, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like it doesn't matter how many people listen to your podcast.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you're a guest on someone else's podcast, or that's extra people that didn't know about you and what you do, finding out about you. Yep. You're a musician. You're an athlete. That new person 100%. Learns your story. Maybe they might not be into your type of music. Maybe they might not like sports, but they like your story. Mm-hmm. It's like, I really like, I've heard what this guy went through, this girl went through. Yep. I love their story, and now I want to support them.
Okay.
And just like that, you get a new fan.
Agree.
A new supporter. They might tell a friend, and word of mouth is very strong. They tell a new friend, it's like, hey, man, this guy is blah, blah, blah. You should check him out. And that one little thing that you think is not good enough for you, you think you're above that, can go a long way for you.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The only one bone to pick that I have with podcasters here is I get a lot of podcasters here, and they're asking, come, let's do the show. Let's do it. And then I'm like, let's do your show. And they're like, yeah. Like,
no.
Where's my invite, podcasters?
We have to do
two
one
out of maybe 10 or 12 podcasters.
No, we have to do one for sure.
Let's do it. You let me know. I'm in.
Shake you on that.
You let me know. I'm in, brother.
It's right here. That's the sign.
Anytime. I'm in. I love it.
But when more likely it will be online.
When I do one and I'm not, and I don't have to run it, I'm like, I think it's even more fun. I'm just chilling.
Yeah, that's why I've been dying to just end up on someone's podcast because I'm like,
I love it.
I'm tired of having to be the one
running everything,
getting
everything, right?
Yeah, thinking about what to ask, what to do.
It's tough.
And so it's like, let's mix it up. But for sure, you being a veteran in Taiwan, 20 years, that's very long.
I'll tell you what.
I thought Eddie, I was until I met Rick Monday.
Oh yeah,
shoot! I was like, oh man, I'm still in news.
Ask Eddie about his experiences with restaurants and podcasting.
Yeah.
That's where you get good content when it comes to mental health and experience combined.
Oh man.
That's your juicy stuff right there.
Yeah, anytime, brother.
Well, you just let me know. Hey, I'm pretty much
I'm flexible. I'll make time for podcasts.
I'm pretty much available all the time, and it's gonna be more likely online as always.
That's cool.
It's the easiest setup for me right now.
No, that's cool. That's great. Yeah, because we do it audio, right? So yeah.
So all right, cool.
All right,
we just make that happen, and
let me know when you want me to come on, and we'll book a time, and I'll do it from my house. I have a building, a little studio at home.
Whatever. Just let me know what day's the best day for you.
Not Tuesday, obviously.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
But we could do
damn! I wanted to do it on Tuesday.
Tuesday night. Yeah, sorry, we're not doing it. Probably a Monday or a Wednesday.
Oh, perfect. I literally don't have anything to do during the week, so
perfect.
Works perfect for me. Okay.
Damn, I want that. I want to do. Yeah.
Well, we'll make that. We'll do that for sure.
You gotta get me on, man.
We have the evidence right here, so I can't run away from it. I love
the podcasting, man. So I went on a couple, but definitely I've had way more podcasters come on than actually going to theirs. Yeah.
I mean,
way more.
I've only been on one prior to this.
No, that's great.
So
yeah. Well, I think
you start with one, right?
Yeah, I think the way is like all the podcasters kind of like it's like this spider web of everybody's connected to everybody. Then you get way more things done. Your life in Taiwan becomes better because you connected to so many people. I think it's great.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man, I think it's great. Yeah, brother. Yeah, I actually want to go through. Oh shoot!
Yeah,
go through the pictures.
Let me take care of that. You guys continue talking.
Let's tilt the screen this way, and we'll go through the pictures. Unfortunately, the pictures are usually up there. Sorry, everybody. We've had a little bit of a glitch on the monitor, so I'm gonna grab this and back up a little bit, and then we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Boom. So we'll go for. We're good. Yeah, we're good.
Perfect.
All right. So let's go. I'll put this on my gut here, and yeah. So let's go. Picture number one. Tell me what's going on. Picture number one. What do we
coming
got?
up.
Boom. What's up?
Okay, so when you asked me to, like, I was trying to think, like, what pictures can have a story? So that one was in my freshman year. The school was doing, like, promotional ads for Ming Chuan. And so...
Was I there or I wasn't there?
You weren't there when I did it, no.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, fine. You know, I feel like a lot of times they want to have a foreign face.
Of course.
You know. And so I'm like, okay, cool. And the crazy thing about this was not so much about what the ads ended up being, because I had some friends send us like random pics or ads that they saw from Ming Chuan. And I'm like, but the cool thing was I found out more things about the school. Like, for example, that room, I didn't know existed until we did that.
Honestly, I cannot still have a memory where I don't remember this room, so I don't know.
Okay. So for those of you that go to Ming Chuan and you see this, you see where the little tunnel is, like
near the basketball court?
Yeah, the one that leads to where like Ubers can drop you off and pick you up.
Yes.
It's a little room right around there.
Oh, we never went in.
Yeah. And there's a lot of things that, like, it makes you realize that how many things are right there that you don't know about. Like, they have this whole VR set up there.
That's cool.
Yeah, they had, and then they had like a whole what's it called? Like a little studio to take. Yeah, it's crazy that you didn't know, and you're a photographer.
Like a photographer guy.
Yeah, I had no clue. That's interesting.
Like the whole setup like a studio. Oh, sorry. Like a whole setup like a studio with the, you know, with the white background, the lighting, everything, the perfect setup. Yeah.
Green screen and everything.
All of that is there. You just don't know about it.
Oh, wow.
So it was a good experience. Just, you know, being a foreign face. It was good.
Beautiful. Boom.
So, you know, when you come to Taiwan, you're a foreigner. They give you the option to go to high schools to, you know, just talk about your country. And unfortunately, that one day I tried something for the first time that I was like, I don't like the taste of this. But it's something that Taiwanese love, which is that of the 1,000-year egg.
Oh.
So that's the crazy part about this picture. So we went to a high school in Taoyuan, and we're there making posters with the kids about, you know, just something, half of it would be from your country, half would be Taiwan that they designed. So I'm like, you know what, we have Mayan ruins in Belize, and you guys have temples in Taiwan. Let's draw one of each there. And we're here drinking beers, and the temple that I decided to make them draw was actually the logo for a Belizean beer, but it's actually like a Mayan temple, but it's a very simple drawing. So I'm like, beautiful. It's funny that I have these kids out here drawing a beer logo.
Beer temple.
That's funny.
But, so yeah, they made us try this 1,000-year egg.
There's a lot of amazing foods in Taiwan. I'm definitely not a fan of the 1,000-year egg.
I'm not a fan of it either.
Yeah.
And so, like, it was more a group of us, and this one girl, it was one of her students that had the 1,000-year egg.
Okay.
And they shared it to her. She's like, no, I'm not taking this unless all of you take it with me. And I'm like, damn, I don't want to.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
So
I'm guessing this is Kaohsiung.
Yes, sir. That is Fo Guan Chan or whatever the name is. If I'm butchering the name for sure. But the reason like I like this picture is because
I don't think I've ever been there.
You've never been there, really?
20 years.
Wait, seriously?
I don't think so. When I travel, I just base everything on food. So I know good places to eat, but I don't know temples.
Before you start, let me tell you something. Oh my goodness.
That's pretty bad. I know.
So if you go there...
I thought that was Thailand.
If you go there, they give you Buddhist food.
Okay.
And
I did not get no food.
Is huge. It's not huge, it's humongous.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Cool.
You gotta go there.
I didn't get any food when I was there, but
there you go.
I got it.
So when I went there, like I grew up in a family that my mom's family, there are a lot of Adventists, 7-day Adventists.
Okay.
My dad was mostly like Catholic, but growing up, I went to 7-day Adventist because I went to a primary school. I would sometimes go to Catholic church because of my dad. And my mom started going to Methodist, which is, I'd say, very similar to Catholic. It's very
I don't actually know all of the differences. Yeah.
So growing up, basically Christian, if we want to just branch it all together.
Yep.
And so when I went there, you know, it's a Buddhist thing, and I'm there, and I'm like, what I really liked about it was the environment was very calm and like I felt at peace while being there. And like Ruji said, it's humongous, but you know, sometimes when you see like you're in a big space,
it's got like some nice vibes.
You get sometimes you might get overwhelmed by the space, but that one was very calm and welcoming. They have the huge Buddha, and like they had the 3 pillars, if you want to call it that: the think good thoughts, speak good words, and do good deeds. I'm like, those are 3 pretty good things to live by. And like, so I've always wanted to go back, but I just haven't had the chance to go because this was in my freshman year. But for you that hasn't been there as yet,
that's bad.
You should definitely go.
I just came here and I just got to work, man. And
he's been on the grind.
It's bad.
Okay, so that's my lovely mom.
You got to have the mom in, man.
Oh, of course.
Shout out to mom.
Shout out to moms all over the world.
And so, this was on the day I actually got back home during my surprise trip that no one else knew about. Like, you know, I was dying to go home because my mind was all messed up.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Needed that little recharge of being home. So, you know, in my life, I've only ever seen my mom cry at like funerals because she's had brothers that passed away or other relatives. When I left for Taiwan the first time, I saw my mom cry. And you feel a certain, because, you know, I'm the baby. And so the baby is leaving, going to the other side of the world. All of my siblings are still in Belize. So it's like, this is the first time a child is actually just going so far away.
It's tough.
And then coming home, you know, the main thing was I just wanted to see my mom. And so getting back there and surprising her was a really good feeling. And like when I got into because this is actually in our family business. So when I got in there, my brother's like,
it's a family business.
When I got in there, my brother saw me because my cousin picked me up at the bus stop, took me there. When my brother saw him, he's like, what are you doing here? Like, no one expected to see me. And then my mom came from the back. She's like, she's wondering who my brother is telling this to. And she's like, what? Like, my mom was happy, like happy tears. Yeah, so like it was a good vibe. Yeah. I mean, whenever I do go home again, I want to give them a general idea, but at the same time, try to surprise again, part 2. Sure.
My mom always bawls every time I go home. I'm 43, and that don't go away.
When's the last time you've been home?
It's been 5 years now, man.
Ooh.
So I'm due this year. It's supposed to be either this summer, but actually the plan was we all go and meet in Mexico in December. So that's kind of the plan.
Okay.
Instead of the summer, because we're not sure about the quarantine and all that.
The whole situation.
My family's in Canada, right?
Okay, yeah. And Mexico is more loose and more chill about the COVID situation.
Even in Canada, actually, they're pretty chill.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I was thinking about, it's not actually not Canada or Mexico, it's Taiwan. I didn't want to come back and have like a week or 2 weeks or 10 days or whatever, because that sucks. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, especially being someone with a business, it makes things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
Josh guy with Planet Josh.
Planet Josh. While recording in my room, you can see my bed at the back, the top of the bunk.
You've got a good setup. I see those headphones monitoring the sound, and then there's a microphone. That's a good setup right there, brother.
Okay, funny thing is, none of those things in the picture belong to me.
Perfect.
So
that's how you got to do it, man. You got to do it.
Now I actually have a little mic of my own, but back then that was when I was using my roommate's.
You got to
setup.
test it out, man. You got to see if you like it.
It was good.
A lot of things that happen is people are like, I want to do a podcast. And then they go and buy all this stuff. And then they're like, yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And then you see it like all this secondhand stuff for sale. So actually, I got this this mic right here. This Shure, amazing, like, I can't remember what it is. It's an amazing, like, old school, like Elvis sort of Stray Cats microphone. And I was looking at it. And it was like maybe 12 or 15,000 NT. And I'm like, I'm not buying that. That's ridiculous. But 2 weeks after I was looking at it, I saw it on like Taipei, buy, sell, and trade. And they're like, 10. And then I'm like, okay, I'll give you like 6. Yeah. And they're like, no. Okay, cool. A week goes by. I'm like, how's it going? They're like, yeah, I haven't sold it. I'm like, okay, cool. A week goes by. Because, I mean, how many people want that mic?
Yeah. Like,
not many, right? And then she messages me. She's like,
fine, let's talk.
I'm in like Mingda. If you swing by today with 6, it's yours. I'm like, I'll be right there.
So I have my.
Yeah. I haven't seen you use that though.
It's at the other one. Because I'm like, should I have like a big one and a little one here? So I have it at home. It's at home. Yeah.
So the home setup.
It's pretty cool.
So now I have my own little mic. It's like a USB mic. So the crazy thing about that mic is I have a friend. Her sister used to live in Tien Mu, but her sister and her brother-in-law left Taiwan. And I guess while they were away, they decided, okay, we're not coming back to Taiwan. And so my friend was left with trying to figure out what to do with all the stuff. Of course, she has to send stuff for them, but they don't want everything. So it's like some stuff maybe give away on like, that Facebook group.
That's what we do.
What's the name of it?
Taipei Buy, Sell, and
Trade.
Trade.
No, there's one that's like buy for nothing. Like you just give away and you claim.
I've seen that one.
And then,
Thanks,
so she found this little mic, and because I do podcasting, she's like, "Do you want it?" I'm like, "How much do you want for it?" She's like, I just want something to buy a meal. She's like, "Give me $200." I'm like, "Okay, fine."
Sold.
I mean, no hesitation at all. And so I go online and I search up the mic, and the original cost is like $1,500. I'm like, for $200, I can't go wrong. And it's in pretty good condition. So I'm like, perfect.
I think a USB mic is great to start. I probably would have done USB here if I didn't have like this, like we have this big mixer for like live music and karaoke and all that.
For you, USB mics don't make sense because you have XLR.
I already have all this stuff.
Better,
yeah. If I didn't have any of that, I would definitely just do
makes
USB.
Sense. Yeah.
Boom.
So simple life. So, like I said, my mom is from Guatemala. This picture is actually in Guatemala. So, like, I like a simple life. Like, a lot of her family are fishermen. My grandpa was a fisherman, her dad. And so that's one of their boats. Beautiful. And they're just we just went from literally one of her cousin's house to the other a little bit down the river. So, we're here in Taipei, this busy city. It's not really my type of vibe, I can manage while I'm here.
Go to Danshui, man. Have you been out to Danshui? Danshui is perfect blend of like the city and the country life. I love Danshui.
So like that life is pretty nice for me. Cool. You get to kick back and I'm sitting on the edge of the boat, like I know what I'm doing, like I can actually swim.
Okay.
Because if I fall in the water, I'm gone.
Nice. All right. Cool. I got two on there.
I see some Ming Chuan on the left-hand side.
That's like the logo for your podcast, right?
Yes, it is.
Superman one, yeah.
So that's the logo for the podcast. I had to find a way to make my own podcast. I'm not skilled with Photoshop. The logo. I know nothing about Photoshop. So I just started downloading random apps on my phone. My roommate found one that could erase the background. So I got rid of all of Shilling in the background. And then I turned it into like cartoonized sort of with some app. And then I dropped it in.
Like a GTA kind of stuff? When you say cartoonized?
Just some app that I downloaded that called Cartoon Me. One of those random apps. And
I've seen that, yeah.
And I adjusted it good enough where I can still see my face and it's not completely all messed up.
Beautiful.
And that's low-key like one of my first pics I took in Taiwan.
Okay.
And it's actually my friend over there that took it for me. So like we were just up there taking pictures. And then the second one is in the room, like maybe like the second episode. And it's crazy that the people that took these two pictures are right here because he took the second one.
Really? Nice.
Because he had a Polaroid and he was just putting it to use.
So
like, okay.
Polaroid. I haven't seen one in a while.
I can see the Polaroid and I'm like, who is that Polaroid person?
Yeah, he's the owner of the Polaroid.
All right.
So we just took that. Bear in mind, we weren't doing anything to record the episode yet. We're just like, okay, let's just pose and act like we're doing some. No, we weren't even testing. He's like, okay, let me take a picture of you guys. And we're just like, let's just act like we're doing something.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a big group of us that came to Taiwan together on the same scholarship as me.
So when you talk about like scholarships and stuff, it's not just one guy coming. It's like a group.
It's like a group.
Come together. Okay.
It's like a group, and you go to a lot of different schools throughout the country. Because, go ahead.
A quick question. You guys mentioned ICDF, and you guys didn't know the definition.
I was saying, should he Google it? Yeah.
I'm gonna act very smart, dude, but I'm not because I just Googled it.
It's
and
something
now
development
I know.
fund.
Yes, so International Cooperation and Development Fund.
Yeah,
there you go.
I knew the DF.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of people they have different majors to different schools, whether you want to do business, journalism, whatever. So there are people in so many different universities in Taipei, Hualien, Taichung, basically throughout the country.
Sweet.
And
that's Taiwan.
Yes, it is.
Nice.
So like, so every year when you get the scholarship, they give you like a little certificate saying that you got it, and they have a little ceremony for it.
Beautiful.
And lucky for us,
should have told her, "Hey, come onto my podcast, dude."
You know, I wish I wish I was doing a
Yeah.
podcast back then.
That was the chance.
I got to get her on the podcast.
And so we, at that time, I think she was doing like visits to countries that still have relationships with Taiwan at that time. And so she came to Belize, and so she was there for our ceremony, and it was a lot of security, like so many guys in the suits
Nice.
and everything.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And they even put stickers down on the floor, like, okay, you stand here, she stands here.
Don't touch her.
Yeah, don't get close. But the crazy thing is, she's the one
like-
that stepped over. She's
wow.
the one that's closer to you. I'm like, hey, can't do me anything. She's the one that crossed the line.
She has all the power, man.
You know?
Yeah, very good. Is that number
So
10 or
yeah,
11?
I like
That's
basketball.
number 10.
The one on the left is after SBL, which is like one of the older leagues, which is kind of like no one cares about it anymore
Yeah.
type of league. Was at the finals. We have a friend that plays in Taiwan, and his team they were the champions that year. So we were just chilling, wasting time, and you know, back home we haven't always had big wooden courts. So being in a big arena, it's pretty cool. Going down there, taking a picture with the finals. Like, I've been to local games, but most of the time back home, it's guys that I know. So it's not all that crazy. But when you go here, it's a different vibe because it was a final. So it's like, okay, let's take a pic. And the other one is my department team that I'm the captain of. I was injured, and so I had to makeshift coach for the
Coach,
day.
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Had to get that one in there.
That one was a necessity.
Yeah, had to do it. Yeah.
So I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan.
Everybody loves Kobe.
Everyone loves Kobe. So he died while I was at home during my trip. And I had one of my mom's friends that sent me that picture. And she was like, I saw this while I was driving one day. I was like, damn. Because I know when I'm coming back to Taiwan, I'm spending like 2 days in LA before I come. So I'm like, damn, I have to find this. And the crazy thing about this picture is I didn't know that one of my dad's nieces had moved to LA. The whole time she's always lived in like Northern California, Utah, all over. I didn't know she lived in LA. And when I posted that on my story, she was like, hey, I live like 5 minutes away from this. I'm like, what? I didn't know you lived in LA. So that picture, I got to see that. It was pretty cool being a Kobe fan. And then at the same time, being able to connect with my cousin because I didn't know she lived right around. So it was like two
awesome.
birds with one stone.
Very cool. Very cool.
With Kobe is very weird because I love basketball and I'm a Heat fan all day, all night, right? But I lost that touch when I moved to Taiwan, right?
Yeah,
It's kind of hard to keep it
tougher
going
here.
with the
It's
time
Exactly.
difference.
I didn't keep up with it.
But
But
with me and soccer, yeah.
But then when I heard about Kobe, I feel bad because like the guy, apart from basketball, is a genuinely amazing guy.
Yeah.
If
for
you
sure.
look at his interview or podcast on Alpha Motivation or Goldcast, this tells us about him. It's just like so sharp. He's so focused on all that stuff. So Kobe hit a lot of people, honestly.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I have a quick Kobe story. So Kobe's my age, man. So when I
Yeah.
was in grade 12, I remember we were all trying to, rent like for prom. We were trying to rent like Mustangs, and everybody's trying to do like show up to the prom in a cool way, right? Because I mean, you're what are you, like 17, and you're trying to do something cool, and it just happened that on the news, Kobe, he went to his prom with a famous singer at the time called Brandy.
Brandy, yeah.
With Brandy. And they actually they went in a helicopter and they went to the prom, and it was all over the news, and so all of us trying to borrow our cousins' Mustangs and stuff. We were just like, oh shoot.
Yeah, you guys
Because
out here
Kobe
borrowing
was like,
Mustangs,
yeah,
and he's here in a helicopter.
It's like Kobe, obviously not the same school, but I mean we're trying to get
same age range.
yeah,
You're like,
same age,
yeah,
exact same day basically. And we're like, yeah, we're getting this.
You're
we're
trying to
getting
be
that.
the biggest
Yeah.
thing for
We're
that
trying
day.
to be cool, and then all of a sudden, Kobe comes in with he goes into his school helicopter, Brandy, he's we're
he
just
hit you
oh,
with
shoot.
what you said with Rick. You felt like you were Taiwan. You're like the senior foreigner in Taiwan, and he comes
Exactly,
in like,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
maybe I'm not.
Makes you look like a noob, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Awesome, brother. So we're down to the last one.
Let me
go for it.
I'm gonna go for the big one.
Take the big one, man.
That's the wing cam
good.
right for you
That's it.
guys.
Let's go,
And
let's
the
go, bro. We
last
made all the way.
wing.
This one is the what?
Salud. Yes. Salud.
Last
There you
wing
go.
has
What
been
flavor is this?
taken.
This is Carolina Reaper, man.
This is made by you, right?
This is made by me. Yes.
I'm gonna give the live commentary. The last wing
is a
has
tough
been
one.
taken. It's Carolina Reaper, and Josh looks pretty good, while Eddie took the whole stuff. Looks also pretty good. We'll see how that goes. Josh taking the second bite.
Be good.
Eddie, chill as always.
All right. Gotta be, man. Shoot.
Yeah.
I'm good. I can handle this.
Oh wow,
Okay.
that's the sport right there.
All right. Well,
Unless it has like a secret delayed kick.
it might. We'll see, right?
It does
for
actually.
certain people. Certain
When I did that,
I forgot. To be honest, I watched it, but I forgot your reaction.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Lavari,
So
man.
what I did that is like I took I'm a vegetarian, right? So I do cauliflower wings, and I took like a good of a chunk of a bite, and I'm chewing it, and I swallowed it. I'm like, oh, Eddie, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's all good. And
Everybody
2
says that.
seconds later, it just like kicks my tongue and stings me. And my mistake, what I did was like I sipped a beer,
Yeah.
so that only made it worse. And then you can see the video like I'm chugging the whole horchata at the same time.
I can feel a little kick now.
You can feel it coming, right?
There we go.
Oh,
There we
yeah,
go.
I can feel it.
Horchata is the key, guys. Horchata is the
Horchata.
key.
No, that's one thing I know about. Like beer and soda.
Yeah,
Whenever it's pepper,
tough.
you stay away from
Yeah,
it.
for sure, bro. You made it all the way through, bro.
Feeling a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna
getting a
start
little bit
coming
hot in
out. It's
here.
gonna start coming out. Don't touch your eyes. Wash your hands before you pee. Those are the 2 things I'm gonna say. Yeah, I'm gonna say that. So we made it all the way
like,
through.
Eddie, that should be a disclaimer before the show
That
starts.
should be it, right? That should be it. Anyone who is out there in your position that is thinking about starting a podcast, what's your advice to them before we cut it?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just record.
It's Nike. Just do it.
Yeah. Don't sue me.
Just hit record. Okay. All right. So that was quick. That was simple. Do you have anything you want to add?
Carolina Reaper is no joke.
No
That's
joke.
what I gotta
right?
add.
Feel it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's coming. It's
So,
coming.
let people know about Planet Josh.
Yes, we've got the link in the description.
Oh, you
But
can
tell
find
everybody
it.
who's watching why you should check out Planet Josh.
Question is, why not? I mean,
Okay.
it's talking about things that I feel like all of us can relate to at some point. You might not relate to it now, or I think about it as, sometimes there are things that we know about, but we don't think about it all the time until we hear something and it starts to start a
Crazy.
train of thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the reason why I say check it out. Because it's simple stuff, but it's simple stuff that we overlook.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's crazy, Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Like I just watched the second one again with my daughter last night. And I mean, I haven't seen my dad in like 5 years, 6 years. And at the end, I don't know if you guys have you seen Guardian of the Galaxy too? Yeah. So obviously, Yondu dies at the end, right? I'm not trying to spoiler alert, right? And then that song comes on, and I just like start crying. I'm like, oh my god, I haven't seen my dad in so long. And it's just like start bawling. My daughter's like, she's
You okay?
10. She's like, what's going on? I'm like, oh my gosh, I miss
Like,
my dad.
Daddy, that's how
It's
your
crazy.
body works. Can you even
crazy.
cry?
Yeah, it's crazy. She's just like, what? I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, you cry at every movie, Dad. I'm like, yeah, I do.
It is
But
what
I
it is.
I hide it though. Yeah.
Man,
Thank you
well,
guys for watching.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for having me. You're gonna have to have me.
For sure.
right?
We already said
Let
it
me
on
know.
here.
We'll set
Yeah.
it up. Okay. Thank you guys for watching the show. If you guys want to check out Planet Josh, the link's in the description below. Thanks for young Rushi for being the man behind the man here. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for coming out. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.